Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conscious Conversations. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm the founder of the Transformation Center based in Westport, Connecticut. And at the center, in addition to the private sessions that I do with coaching and shamanic healing, we also have a variety of workshops and classes. I love to bring people in to share what they do with everyone else. So it's really awesome. We even have sound baths in the backyard. And coming up soon, you're going to hear all about this today. We're going to do a cold plunge in the backyard. Very excited about that. So you can find all the information on our website, which is transformationcenterct.com. And there's an event calendar, and you can sign up usually right there online. So check that out when you get a chance. And everybody's welcome. Even when you're just starting on the path, that's really what I love to do is work with beginners. And if you have any questions, you can call or text me. And it's really all about you and helping you find your core self, like in dropping who you're not, transforming your limiting beliefs and becoming who you're meant to be in this lifetime. So thank you for tuning in today. I love sharing my guest with you every week. And I'm very excited today because my guest is Deb Lauren Poole.
Hello.
Welcome, Lauren.
Thanks
Deb.
for having me.
I want to call you Lauren.
People call me Lauren all the time.
Because was that your maiden name?
It's my middle name.
Your middle name.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So I could call you Lauren if I wanted.
Yeah. I went by Deb Lauren for a long time between my divorce and my new marriage. So it's like a little fun way to be. Like, I'm not the old, I'm not the new, I'm just in the middle right now.
Well, that's perfect. Yeah. Well, again, welcome. I'm going to read a little bit about Deb before we get started so you can get to know her just a little bit. So Deb is a certified meditation and breath coach, and she helps people tap into the intelligence of their nervous system. That's why on the slide it says nervous. What does it say?
Nervous system regulation.
Nervous system regulation.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And so then over the past year, this is kind of relatively new, Deb has begun pairing her other nurturing tools with the power of cold water immersion. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I actually tried this out, not with Deb, but at the farmer's market. Yeah, and so she gives herself and her clients and her children, I believe, one of the most impactful ways to up-level one's mental resilience and overall physical health. Can't wait to learn more about that. So you can find Deb locally here in Westport. She teaches at Pause and Purpose, which is right across the street from the Westport Library where we're recording today. And she facilitates cold plunges around the area. And she also works at source.io, which we're also going to learn about. And this is an app that brings individuals and companies biofeedback-driven coaching. Yeah. And the purpose is to regenerate human energy and get in front of burnout. Yeah. So it's like a preventative type of modality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Wow, there's so much to talk about. I hope we can fit this all in today.
It all goes together, so we'll work it in.
Okay, cool. All right, so before we get into the details of all of the interesting things that you're up to, I really want to hear just a little bit like what brought you to all of these things? Yeah. How did you get here?
Yeah, it's an understandable question. So I think it all started with the meditation piece. So I was always aware and into, understanding my body and my mind-body connection. But it wasn't until about, I'd say, 8 years ago, as a mother of young children and a marriage that wasn't working out, I sought therapy. I did the things that we would typically do, but I ended up going to a retreat in Honduras, and it was a yoga retreat, and I went by myself. I had never done anything like that. I just needed a change of scenery. I needed new people. I needed away from the environment that was stressing. Yeah. And I went on this retreat. I learned about yoga nidra meditation, oracle cards. We did a day of silence. Like we worked in a lot of different areas of the town, giving, but leaving before we could be thanked. So it was this kind of detachment of just doing things to do them, not for the praise or acknowledgement. And so in doing all of these things, had a lot of revelations, realized things about myself, my marriage, my life, my identity that 2 years of therapy had not helped me do. And I went, oh, okay, there's something to this. And so I started learning more about meditation, more about these different avenues of support. And I loved it so much, and it helped us through our divorce and everything be so amicable and so loving, even though it was a hard time. I got certified as a yoga nidra meditation coach, and then later I got certified in breathwork, and I just created this kind of own entrepreneurial venture. It was called Heart-Centered You. Initially, it kind of had different areas of adaptation, but helping other people use more spiritual methodologies to help them feel better. And then, and, you know, have better relationships and relate to themselves better. So it started with that. And then this past year, I'd say almost a year ago, I started cold plunging. I was introduced to it a year before that at a coaching event. And I got in a tub and freaked out, but got myself to that peaceful state, and I was hooked. But I didn't really know how to go about doing it on my own outside of that, and they don't have any like cold plunge places here. This was, you know, in California. So I said, okay, I'm going to look around, and sure enough, on social media, I found a group called Ebb and Flow Collective and started dipping with them in the Long Island Sound from November until March. We dipped twice a week, and then I would go on my own because I loved it so much. And then just kind of started from there. And then I ended up buying a tub because I wanted to do it in the off season because the ocean's not cold enough during the summer. And
although it feels really cold to most of us, right?
Well, it has to be about 60 degrees Fahrenheit to get the metabolic benefits and to really have that full experience. So I bought a tub, and now I've started using breathwork and meditation to help other people through their dips and help them regulate their nervous system.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's all come kind of full
Full
circle.
yeah.
Everything you do in one. And that's the workshop we're going to do together in a few weeks, where you're going to start with the meditation, the breath work, little movement.
Yeah.
And then we're going to
really prime the body. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how many minutes does one need to be in the cold water to get the benefit?
Yeah, so studies have shown that you need about 11 minutes a week if you want to get all the metabolic benefits, and that's really kind of stretched across 2 to 3 sessions. So the idea is you could, for, athletic recovery is one of the, physical benefits. You could do an 11-minute session at like between 50 and 60 degrees and get it all in one session and really get that anti-inflammatory benefit. But if you want the mental benefits, then you want to put yourself in that purposeful stress 2 to 3 times a week. You don't want to just do it once. And so you really get practice creating new neuron connections, using your breath, really getting that change of state into your nervous system so that you have more practice moving from stressed to peace.
So that's the whole point of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone does it for different reasons. So there's 6 main benefits. So we've got the athletic recovery, so anti-inflammatory. That's huge. The athletic communities, sports teams have been, using ice tubs forever. So we have anti-inflammatory, we have better sleep. It definitely helps. I'm not going to get into all that because I want to get into the mental stuff, but metabolism, it increases your metabolism, so it's really helpful for weight management or even weight loss. And then we've got, I'm like, which ones have I done? And then immune support. So it really helps help you become a healthier person, fighting off disease and sickness.
How does that work?
It's crazy. Well, I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
And then we've got focus and energy, which is huge because that's where that mindfulness piece comes in. And when you're in stressful situations, your ability to focus goes down by like 30 to 80%. And so by getting deliberately in the tub and utilizing your breath, you can and doing certain I do hand gestures. I can share a few, but you actually can increase your ability to focus while under duress. And so that's a really good benefit. And there's just that mindfulness piece. to the focus as well, where when you're in that tub, you're not thinking about anything else that's bothering you, or there's no repeated thoughts. It's you are connecting with your body, you're connecting with the water, and you're in it. And so there's a real just forced presence that happens, and then you can really use that to your benefit because you tap into yourself in that, you know, coming down and downshifting off of that hyperventilation and all of that. And then the mental, you know, mental health benefit is really what I would love to get into, because that's really the piece about really coming into your own and helping improve your relationship with stress and with how you interact with yourself.
So, yeah, so it has a lasting benefit. I mean, it like bleeds over into all areas of your life.
Oh my gosh,
that's
yes.
your experience.
That is my experience. Yeah. So a lot of it, I mean, there's been studies out now, there's podcasts all over the place that talk about it, and a lot are geared on the physicality of it. But I've found, and this is also represented by research, that the mental shifts, the ability to change your relationship with stress, to know what's happening physiologically in your body when you're stressed, that actual sympathetic nervous system response, to learn how to move yourself into a parasympathetic and find safety within yourself no matter what's going on around you.
Wow, how valuable is that?
So valuable. It's improved my parenting and my ability to hold space for my children. It's improved my marriage and my relationship with my ex-husband. It's improved my ability to manage. I do 3 part-time jobs, and my brain is always in 3 places or more. And so I found that more than therapy, more than even meditation to a degree, I have so much more ability to bring myself to a different state when I feel that stress coming, or I feel a trigger affecting me. And so instead of going into a place of reaction, I breathe. I use those neural programming, and I'm now quicker and quicker getting into that safety without the environment changing, without the person's behavior changing. I can now say, ooh, I can tune into myself. I can tune into my breath. I can calm my nervous system, regulate myself. And now I can respond from a place of equilibrium and homeostasis and not agitation, which is fair and normal, but we have more say over how we respond than we think we do.
Right, we have that choice.
Yeah.
And so this is just bringing that awareness, like all the time, that you have that choice.
And it's practicing in a way that isn't emotional. Because usually when, even in meditation or with therapy, these modalities are asking you to call upon that trigger and move through it consciously. Whereas when you're cold plunging, it's not about a specific trigger or event or mind, you know, thought. It's just this very physical way of saying, I'm going to willingly engage in a productive stress. I'm going to get myself from sympathetic to parasympathetic using my breath, using, you know, my physiological response, and then I'm going to feel good. And my brain's going to go, ooh, you did that. Let's get better at doing that so we can do it here and here and here. And you're not calling upon emotions that usually block you from being able to move through that. So it's just a more efficient way of teaching your body how to regulate.
Yeah, it trains your unconscious mind.
Yes.
To do something different when it's under stress. So it also sounds to me like it kind of melds, you know, the physical, the body, with the mind or the spirit too.
Yes.
Because you said earlier, what was it you said before we started?
Oh, I like to bridge science and spirituality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I believe, and this is just me, but I believe that a lot of the spiritual principles that, you know, manifestation and law of attraction, I believe a lot of that works because of science. I think there's a lot of different things. We have, you know, the reticular activating system. That's like a bouncer for your brain, and it determines what we let in based on what we think is relevant. So if we start to give ourselves all of these experiences overcoming stress in a healthy way, our body's going to go, that's relevant. We need to learn how to do that more. We need to get better at it. We need to adapt so that we can be efficient, because the body is lazy. it needs to be efficient. And so I find that we're training our body just like we would break down muscle tissue at the gym, and then it goes stronger in the end, or, you know, after a couple different rounds, you know, with weightlifting and whatnot. The whole idea is to break it down so it can build back stronger and adapt so that the next time you hold that weight, you're that much more capable of lifting it. And so when you're training with these 2 to 3 dips a week, that's like training your brain and your tissues and your cells to adapt. So you're going to cause cold shock. You're going to cause them to break down. You're going to cause the blood to rush to your organs. And that's why your hands and feet get really cold when you cold plunge.
Yeah, that just happened to me.
Yeah, where they're the last to get warm because all your blood is going to all the essential organs.
That makes sense.
And so your capillaries dilate and everything goes into protection mode. And then you get out, and now all of a sudden your blood is now going back into your limbs. It's getting cold and then cycling back into your heart. And so you could get cold again after. And so that's why the movement piece and everything is so important. But you're literally training your body to adapt to these cold temperatures so that you can do it repeatedly and get better and better. But then there is this amazing side benefit that kind of one stress is all stress, and your brain applies that same efficiency to an emotional stress.
That is so amazing.
And I love it.
Yeah, but it sounds like part of the secret is the repetitive nature of it, or at least getting to a point where it's just a natural, it just happens.
It's consistency and it's willingness. So the big key is that we have distress, which is, you know, when something happens to you that you did not ask for, that, you know, and that kind of creates that victim mentality. And then there's eustress. There's stress that is actually productive and that helps feelings of motivation and pursuit and really gets you going. So maybe, you know, like a stress of giving a speech, something that you're really passionate and excited about, but it's still stressful. But it's not going to cause inflammation and cortisol and all of that. It's actually good stress that elicits adaptations. Just like lifting weights is eustress. It's a good stress on the body. It's producing your body to, producing, it's asking your body to make changes so that you can accommodate that demand. And so cold plunging is eustress. It's hormesis is like the real scientific word for it, where you really want to introduce some of the toxin or the bad stress, because a little bit of that, just like a vaccine, is going to cause that adaptation so that you can better handle the real deal.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. It really is.
So glad you explained this, because I really didn't.
And I'm just, you know, that's the basic of it. I mean, you listen to these scientists talk about it.
Really
it is
deep.
The science is legit. I mean, people have been doing this for hundreds of years. But now science is catching up, and now people are really, I mean, listen, it's once you see the proof, once the data is there, it's not just this subjective, yeah, I feel better. It's in the,
now you know why. Is there ever a time when it could not be helpful? Like, is it like for certain people?
That's a
or
great question.
Temperature? I don't know.
Yeah, I think everyone's constitution is different. So it's very hard to say what temperature is too cold, because depending on your history and your ability, and men and women have different capacities. So you need to know what your threshold is. But I know a lot of the research is now showing that men can typically dip every day. They have a cycle that is 24 hours. All their hormones and everything are resetting all the time. Women, we're on a typical 28-day cycle. Our energy is cycling through the month. And so women aren't necessarily primed to dip every day. So if you're somebody that's like, I'm just going to do this because it's a mental exercise, you could actually not help yourself by dipping too much when you're not in a good phase of your cycle. So again, everybody needs to do what works for them. I know when you're in that follicular cycle, like the 10 days leading up to your period, you want to be a lot more tender with yourself. You want to maybe skip dips when you're having a low energy day, when you're maybe feeling extra hormonal. That's not a stress that you need to give your body.
Okay.
So you don't need to play that, I'm going to dip every day for a month and,
Yeah, like no matter what.
Right. Like you actually, it's not a eustress anymore, right? It might become more of a distress to your body because you are purposely subjecting yourself to cold shock. And so even if you can get through it, the physiological benefits may not be worth it. And so I know, and this is where I get Source involved, is I use my, menstrual cycle, but I also use my heart rate variability. Okay. So have you heard of heart rate variability?
A little bit, but tell us more.
It's a biomarker, and it really assesses the health of your nervous system, and it determines readiness. So there's, Source is all about HRV, but Whoop and Aura, they also have HRV in their biomarkers. Okay. And it really helps you determine how much energetic capital you have. And so how ready are you for the day's demands, and how much recovery do you need? And so by taking my HRV score every day, I know where I'm at energetically. I know, oof, I have a recover day. It's not bad. It just means I have limited resources today. I am not fully loaded. I'm going to, play it by ear if I dip today, because I don't know if I want to use my energy in that way. Gotcha. I have to have, maybe I have a couple clients, or I'm doing something really forward facing, or I have to write a really hard email, or I want to save my energy for those things. But if I have an easy day, well, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to dip, and then I'm going to meditate, and I'm going to rest. And, you can kind of use that information to determine how you use your energy.
Cool. So it's an app on your phone? How does it work?
So you don't need any hardware. It's sensor free, and you literally take your finger to the camera and you take a 1-minute breath assessment, and it gives you some breath prompts. And basically what it's doing is that camera, our iPhones are amazing. Yeah. It takes a reading of the blood flushes with your pulse. Wow. And then it has a time stamp and AI that determines, so I know, this is crazy stuff. So heart rate variability, it's the variations between your heartbeats. So when you say, okay, my resting heart rate is, let's say, 60 beats a minute, you're not actually beating once per second. There is a variation, so it's 0.9, 1.2, 0.8, 0.7. There is always a variability between rates. It's never 1 second. 1 second, 1 second. And the more variation you have, the more resilient and ready you are. And the less, the more you need to rest and recover and refuel. And so by learning how, basically it's like cognitive flexibility. If you have a flexible nervous system, you're able to go from stress to calm a lot easier with a lot more efficiency. But when you can't, it's good to know that. So you're like, okay, I am not fully resourced. I'm not going to be able to move through my nervous system pathways as easily today. So how can I support myself? It's not, I'm not going to go to work, but it's, okay, I got to do this, this, and this. What do I need to do between? What do I need to do before and after? How can I be kind to myself? It's such an evaluation tool that helps you stay accountable and really just informed.
Yeah, well, self-awareness, it all starts there, right?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if you're an example of how well this works, then I would say I'm definitely going to try it, because, I mean, your energy is just wonderful.
Well, and I have a lot going on, and so I've really learned what tools work for me. I've been through a lot. I've been through a divorce. I've been through a blended family. Obviously, the pandemic with kids was a real kicker. I've moved 10 times. Like, moves are crazy in the best of circumstances.
Yes, very traumatic.
10 times in like 14 years. It's a lot on the system,
right?
And even just balancing different part-time jobs, all of which I love, but it's a lot on my plate. And I always say life does not get less busy, less stressful. There's always going to be people that are, I call them challengers to your joy. But if you can learn how to support yourself, if you learn, well, how do I protect my energy? How do I set those boundaries? How do I fuel myself? Then I find that no matter what happens, I know I can get through it, and I know I can recover from it. And
I think that's
confidence building.
Yes, and just having that confidence is so important. because I mean, it's almost half the battle is to
Yeah.
just know that you can, and,
Yeah.
and you have before.
Because we add to our stress by
Right.
not knowing how to kind of
that we can do
navigate
it.
it.
Yeah. And our unconscious mind loves the evidence to support it.
Yeah,
And it knows it's done it, it can do it again.
exactly.
So I love
Exactly.
that. Wow. Well, this all sounds amazing. We have a little bit of time left. So you know what I want to ask you? I think you told me before we started that you were getting ready, you were creating a new something.
Yes, a new offer.
Yes.
Yes. So I am excited that at Pause and Purpose, we're now going to have weekly sunrise plunges starting October. So we're really blending the work that we're doing with some group plunging in nature, really
In the Sound,
in the
Long Island
Sound at
Sound.
Campo Beach, first thing in the morning, and really bringing what I love. I mean, you said like choice earlier, and I think the three real like big, I guess, stakes in the ground for well-being are context, which is kind of knowing where you exist in the world and in the relationships, having choice, and having this sense of real like self and like community and where you relate to your community. And so I feel like connection is a huge piece of feeling grounded and secure in yourself. And so we're pairing this like choice of, okay, I'm making the choice to be here, I'm willingly putting myself in this situation, and the connection piece is going to be huge. So we're going to do this as a group, and we're going to connect with nature. We're going to connect with our higher selves, and we're going to connect with each other. And so it's very powerful. I love doing it with the collective. And now we're going to do it in a coached environment so that more newer plungers can come, feel held, feel like they have somebody to lean on. And it will really prep them, because you can't just, you can, but I wouldn't recommend just getting in and getting out and being done with it. This isn't the like,
I like this whole package.
First of the year where you run in, you go in and you get out, and you don't really have a container. And so I really believe that, you start off with breath.
Sounds amazing. I can't wait. I'm going to definitely do it. So everybody sign up. So let's put up the slide one more time for Deb, and then we're going to wrap up. So thank you so much for being here today. I'm really excited. And thank you to the Westport Library for hosting us, to Verso Studios once again. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Namaste. Take care.